Hello everyone, today we will be covering some of the more advanced features of ShadeSwap and how to use them. First, we'll be looking at liquid staking derivative pairs, which utilize Shade Protocol's novel asymmetric concentrated liquidity curve. The asymmetric liquidity curve of ShadeSwap allows for extremely low levels of slippage when swapping between assets that have predictable price fluctuations. The asymmetric curve allows the liquidity to be very focused in the ideal trading range for liquid staking derivatives, whereas most automated market makers distribute liquidity along a much broader curve, which in turn creates larger price impacts for similar size trades. We'll look at the Osmo and ST Osmo pair and see what the price impact would be at various trade sizes. Let's start with a swap to acquire 1000 ST Osmo. Here we see the impact is about 0.01%. Which is far less slippage than most swaps of this size would incur, even with high liquidity. If we want to see the amount of liquidity on this pool, we can look at the dashboard, or within the LP interface on the pools page. To look at a particular pool's liquidity breakdown, we can click on the particular pool and look at the total liquidity provided as well as the breakdown of assets in the pool. The individual pools interface is also a great place to identify both short-term and long-form arbitrage opportunities. To identify long-form arbitrage opportunities for derivatives, a user would need to compare the price of the layer 1 asset relative to the derivative, which in this case is how many Osmo equals 1 ST Osmo, to the price displayed on the liquid staking derivative provider's minting/redemption page. Users are able to still experience incredibly optimized trades even when pools are imbalanced. The imbalance in pools does, however, change the size of the optimized trading window, depending on which direction the swap is going. Let's look at a much larger swap, such as 20,000 Osmo being swapped into ST Osmo. Here we see that the trade is large enough that there is not enough liquidity asymmetrically concentrated within the ideal trading region to optimally facilitate this swap. We can verify this by looking at the expected price impact. It is important to note that as TVL for various pools increases, the trading experience will continually improve for users wishing to swap large amounts of derivative assets with their corresponding layer 1 assets. Now let's look at some of the settings we can change on the swap interface. Let's simulate a 100 Osmo to ST Osmo swap. If we click the gear symbol here, we can bring up the transaction settings menu and select our desired slippage tolerance. You'll note that the default slippage tolerance on stable pairs is 0.1%. We can click on Custom and set a manual percentage such as 0.05%, and users should be able to immediately see the minimum amount received increase to reflect the changes made. If we click Swap, users will see their Kepler wallet pop up with a transaction to approve. Users also will notice the button that says Advanced right above Approve. The ability to manually change the gas provided for a transaction is important for users to understand. If a user ever experiences an out-of-gas error accompanied by a failed transaction, users can manually increase the gas provided to make more computationally expensive transactions succeed. Once we click Confirm, we can see that the received amount was even better than the minimum of 91.15 ST Osmo expected. Now let's look at the price impact when swapping volatile assets like ST Osmo and Shade. Users will notice the default slippage is set at 1%. Users can still choose to set a custom slippage tolerance. You'll also notice the route selections shown within the transaction settings. ShadeSwap will give users the best swap path by default for any swaps being made. However, users are able to choose a particular swap path at their discretion. It is important to note that the longer the swap path, the more computationally expensive the transaction will be. Now let's explore some of the other functionalities that users can take advantage of when providing liquidity. We'll use the Silk IST pool as our example token pair. You'll notice by default for double-sided liquidity providing, when you enter a value for one asset, the front end will suggest the ideal amount of the other asset to provide. Note that the pool is currently unbalanced, and we can see this reflected in the amount of each asset provided within this particular pool. You can provide a custom LP ratio by clicking the gear icon and then clicking the Custom LP button. This allows users to provide custom ratios for their assets they wish to LP rather than the ratio suggested by the front end. As a result of pool imbalances, when choosing a custom LP ratio, you are likely to get a refund issued. A refund is effectively given to liquidity providers when their provision of liquidity impacts the pool balance in a way that would cause the user unnecessary slippage. Thus, users are refunded any liquidity that was provided that could not be LP'd at the desired ratio. Users will note that after providing liquidity, they will receive a successful toast notification that indicates how much liquidity was successfully supplied as well as the refunded asset and amount. In this example, we had 20 silk, provided 10, and then were refunded 1.828 silk. Refunds are given immediately after liquidity is provided, and can be verified by checking out the portfolio page. Thank you all for watching the video, and we hope you learned something today about how to utilize ShadeSwap. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.